Hello, my friends worldwide. How are you doing so far? Um I am Professor Fabio Seni here from Brazil, Londrina, and it's a wonderful pleasure to be here at this time with all of you, talking about a little bit about science, about materials, and about a lot of good things that we have in dentistry nowadays. First of all, I would like to thank everybody worldwide that will be with us at this time. I am very happy to be here in this for sure. But anyway, let's talk about good things. Let's try to forget the sad things. Let's try to forget the difficulties that we have or we are having, and let's join together. Let's put our minds together. Let's put our hearts together, and let's learn together as well. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here one more time and to talk with you a little bit of my idea, of my perception, and what I think about this wonderful issue that is resin and ceramics. Those wonderful materials that we have nowadays. And for sure, if we know how to deal very well with those materials, we can do wonderful miracles for sure for us and for our patients. And one more time, and always, I would like to thank a lot this wonderful, wonderful company that we have here in Brazil, that is FGM. So I am partner of FGM from long, long, long time ago. This make me very, very proud. FGM deeply. I know how serious, how honest, how FGM deals with teaching, with technology, with research, and how FGM is compromised with quality. And so I would like to congratulate FGM for being this company that makes Brazil very proud to have this kind of company here in Brazil. So one more time, thanks a lot, FGM, for this opportunity. Thanks a lot for trust on my job, and for sure, we'll be further. We'll be further for sure. And it's a great pleasure every time that I talk about FGM and the products and what we can do with FGM products that for sure help us a lot to do a wonderful dentistry for sure. So we are together, FGM. We are together worldwide. So one more time, let's get started with this issue that is ceramics and resin composites. How we can deal with those materials? Can we put those materials together? What we can do with those materials? Which material is better, composite, resin, or ceramics? So, and just to start, for me, they are wonderful, wonderful materials. Both ceramics and composites are wonderful. And nowadays, with the quality of those materials, we can do since a small restoration to a big or rehabilitation for 14 teeth above and 14 teeth below. Even with composite or even with ceramic, we can do wonderful rehabilitations. And why? Because we have a wonderful technology. And since we have wonderful mechanical and aesthetic properties with those materials, we can for sure deal with those materials in a big, wide situation. We just have to dominate these materials, resin, ceramic. We have a more important thing. We have to dominate the material. First of all, if we do not dominate the material, ceramic or resin, we're not going to get a very nice result. We have to dominate the technique because the technique is different. Ceramic is one material, composite is another different material that we can get the same approach, but we have to dominate the material. So it doesn't matter if we are dealing with ceramic or dealing with composite. We have to dominate the material. We have to understand about the properties of the materials. Second, we have to know the technique. If we are working with composite or if we are working with ceramic, we have to know the technique for both of those materials because the technique changes if we're talking about composite and if we're talking about ceramic. So since the technique changes, we have to know all those changes. So one more time, we have to plan. We have to plan a lot before we get started. If we plan well, we are going to develop a very well job. If we do not plan, we are not going to develop a very successful technique. So we have to understand about color. We have to understand about optical properties of the tooth. We have to understand about planning, about waxing, about proportion, about a lot of things that, first of all, we have to plan. We have to understand what we are going to perform in the oral mouth with waxing, with previsibility, working with digital or analogic dentistry, it doesn't matter. But we have to put in the model the final result. This is previsibility. So we have to understand and to face the final result first. Look before and look after planning. For a full rehabilitation or for just veneers with ceramic or with composite, we have to understand about planning. We have to plan, we have to see the final result before we get started. This is a wonderful advantage of dentistry nowadays, to be predictable. And we have the possibility to see the final result, to understand the final result, to show this final result to the patient, to see if the final result is beautiful, it's functional, and if the patient's gonna get happy. So if we do not use this advantage of dentistry, we a lot of information, a lot of quality, and we're gonna be losing money for sure. And so understand those principles of know the material, to know the technique, and to plan a lot, to simulate the final result in the patient's mouth, to talk with the patient about the final result, to check the aesthetic, to check the functional portion of this treatment, and to share. I'm sorry, and to share all this information with the patient. If we do not do this thing, we are going to lose a lot of information. Okay, so this is very important to all kind of techniques, to all kind of materials. Okay, and now let's talk about composite. So everybody that knows me, they know that I love composite. I have passion for composite. For me, it's the most versatile material in dentistry, because with the quality of those materials that we have nowadays, and here we have the premium composites of Valis and Vitra, those premium composites. First of all, we have to see that those materials are fantastic. We have to understand that with opalis, that is a premium, and with vitra, that is even better composed of FGM. We have here mechanical, very good mechanical and physical properties. We have here very, very well aesthetic properties, very close, very similar to tooth structure. We have here a wonderful consistent material that we can work with the material, and it's not sticky. It's easy to shape this material in the mouth. So fortunately, FGM nowadays, with the quality of of its composites, we have beautiful and wonderful composites. But to know, first of all, we have to understand what the material is telling us, because each composite changes their optical and consistency properties between each materials. And if we are talking about opalis, and we make a comparison with vitra, we can see that they are different in color, they're different in consistency, they're different in some properties. Why? Because they're different composites. And if we do not understand that each composite have their own optical properties, we are gonna commit a lot of mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes that we have in composites is to make the shade selection by Vita shade. Look, Vita shade is performed for Vita. There is a ceramic, and not for composite, because optically they are different. So we have to personalize our color shade. So opalis has one optical properties, and vitra have another optical composite. One composite a little bit more opaque than the other composite. One composite has different colors. One composite, if we compare the A colors, they're going to be different. The B colors, they're going to be different. So first of all, dominate your composite. Dominate the optical properties of your composite. And Fabio, how we do this? Practicing, understanding, working in a tooth model. Look, work in a tooth model and making comparison. Making some small spots of the composite. So in one, I get the same color here. I get the same color of the composite that I want. For example, D1 of opalis and D1 of vitra. We make a small spot, put them together, and light cure. And we are going to see the difference that we're going to have. So this is very quite important, because I see that composite. I use vitra, I use opalis, but unfortunately, I'm not gonna get in this wonderful result. So, and first of all, I ask those people: do you dominate your composite? Do you really are dominating the optical properties of your composite? Because if you don't, you're gonna commit mistakes. You understand what I mean? So, and as I told you, a lot of mistakes that people commit is to use the Vita shade to make shade selection. And Vita is completely different from Opalis, and it's completely different from Vitra. Why? Because Vita is a shade scale for a ceramic. So use your own composite to perform shade selection. This is very, very important. If we do not understand this, we're going to commit mistakes. All right? Dominate your composite. Dominate the optical properties. Understand what the tooth is telling you about optical properties. What is the color of your tooth? Is more brown, more yellow, more gray? Is it more opaque? Is it more translucent? How is the translucence of your tooth? Is it more blue? Is it more gray? Is it more orange? How is the optical properties? How is the transition of colors and opacity from cervical to area? This is very important to understand. How is the transition from the cervical to the incisal area? How is the proximal area? Is it more opaque? Is it more translucent? So to create a chromatic mapping, it's very important. For sure, it's very important. Why? Because we have to put in our composite, to make a transference, to transfer for our composite the optical properties of the tooth. And FGM composites like Vitra and like Opalis, they, since we dominate the composite, we get natural composites, restorations. We can create works of art with Vitra, with Opalis, since we dominate this material. Correct? And before we do all those things, dominate our material, to do a very correct planning, correct? A very correct optical planning, we can get started. And one more thing, to work with composite, we need to have very nice materials, very nice spatulas. And here is a set that I have with 3 spatulas. With those, just those 3 spatulas, that it's a set that I have here in Brazil, just 3 spatulas, we can create all kind of restorations. In my opinion, we do not need 10 different spatulas, 12, 15 different spatulas. No, we are going to be wasting money. If we have 3, 4 nice spatulas with very nice brushes, we don't need anything else. We don't need anything else than this to create very nice composite restoration. Why? The spatula has to be very, very thin. We have to work very, very well in the proximal areas. Look, we have to work in the flat surface, and the spatula has to be thin, has to be delicate. Look, to what? To get a very nice anatomy. And this is another point that I like to discuss. We have to understand about tooth anatomy to create a wonderful composite restorations. We have to understand that our tooth, mainly talking about anterior tooth, look, we have all the anatomy and the anterior tooth. What we have here, we have a flat surface that drops down to the proximal areas. Always a flat surface that drops down to proximal area. Look, this is some principles that are very important. We have a flat surface from cervical to incisal area that we have to respect. We have to understand. Otherwise, we are not going to create a tooth. And one more time, the tooth has lines. I talk this every time, and this very tooth has lines. It has vertical lines that we have to respect. Vertical lines. It has horizontal lines that we have to understand. Why? Because if we change the lines from one tooth to another tooth, we're going to change the light reflection. And if we change light reflection, we change optical properties. And this is very important because sometimes, or I always tell to my students, most of the time, the mistake is not in the color, but in the shape, in the lines. Because if we change the lines, we change the length, we change the width, we change the optical properties. Correct? So let's stud tooth anatomy. This is very important. So as soon as we have all these equipments and all this knowledge, one more time, and we dominate successful, because one more time, composites are fantastic. I really love composites, and I have a lot of long-term clinical cases with 5 years, with 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 years of long-term results, and we can see how wonderful are composites. I have here in my clinical case long-term studies and long-term clinical case of opalis, for example, of 20, no, of, I'm sorry, of 12 years, 12 years of follow-up. And the results are amazing. 12 years follow-up of a big rehabilitation with opalis. I have follow-ups of 2 years, 3 years with Vitra, and the follow-ups are very good. Why? Because they're very good composites. They're premium composites. And considering that we know how to understand the technique, wow, we can create works of art. Okay, so composites are fantastic. I really like composites, and since we dominate those composites, we can create definitely works of art. Okay, okay. And I forgot to say, but if all of you has any kind of doubt, please, you can ask me here. You can ask me later. I'm gonna write here my Instagram. So if you want, you can add me in my Instagram. So that is fabio.sene. So if you have any kind of doubt, just you can write me by here. You can write me by Instagram. I have my channel in YouTube as well. That is Fabio Sene, my YouTube channel. So be my guest to be in touch whatever you want. Okay, YouTube channel. Let me just write here. That is. If you want to see Fabio Sene, I have a lot of lectures there as well. So be my guest to be in touch. Okay. So understanding all these characteristics of composites, let's talk about a little bit now about ceramics. And ceramics are nowadays a fantastic material as well, because with the whole technology that we have in ceramics nowadays, we can create the thin layers of ceramic that are the lens. And why nowadays we can have the lens of ceramic, thin layers of ceramics that we can create since a small restoration to a huge rehabilitation with those lens. Why? Because the mechanical properties of those ceramics nowadays are fantastic, are fantastic. And one more time, because those materials, ceramics or composites, can be bonded, they can be bonded in tooth structure. And here is one point and one issue that I love to say. Where I did my PhD and my post PhD in this area, that I really in love with this area, that is bonding systems. If we do not know about bonding, I tell this everywhere that I am, and I always say, if we do not know bonding, we do not know static dentistry. One more time, if we don't know bonding, we do not know static dentistry. And here we have the bonding systems of FGM, wonderful bonding systems with MDP technology, with APS technology. That was a wonderful technique that has been developed from FGM, and this is changing the world of composite and cements and bonding and polymeric materials. If you don't know about APS technology of FGM, you have to know. And first of all, if we are working with static dentistry, with composite or with ceramic bonding. If we don't know bonding, we don't know static dentistry. And one more time, talking with ceramic nowadays. First of all, we have to understand about the material. Which kind of ceramic I'm using, or which kind of ceramic my technician is using. This is very important. Which technique my ceramist is using, and my ceramist has to be my best friend. Nowadays, I talk everybody. If you're talking with ceramic, we have to have a loving triangle between the dentist, between the patient, and between the ceramist. We have to have this interaction because it's very important. The ceramist has to understand about all the aesthetic principles, all the beauty fields. He has to understand about mechanical, about lines, about optical properties. If the ceramist do not understand about optical properties, change the ceramist. So if we're talking about ceramic veneers, we have to have very good ceramic technicians. And this, we have to change, to switch informations every time with the ceramist about colors, about the patient behavior, about what we want, about how is the ceramic it's going to be, more opaque, less opaque, about the color. So since we have all the informations about colors and shape, we have to give this information to the technician. So the technician, when we talk about ceramic, we have to work together. Always a very good communication with the technician, and to know with what kind of ceramic the technician is going to perform this clinical case. Why? Because we have to know which kind of ceramic we are dealing with. If it is a disilicate, lithium disilicate, if it's a feldspathic ceramic, if it's a rich leucita ceramic, a fluoroapatite ceramic, we have to know which ceramic the technician is working. Because depending on the ceramic we are working with, the luting technique, the bonding technique changes completely. So if we don't know the ceramic we are working with, probably I don't know the bonding and the cementation technique. Okay, so be a very good partner and have a wonderful interaction with the technique, with the ceramist. Understand and know the ceramic you are dealing with. One more time, always perform a very good reverse planning. What is the reverse planning? Create a 3D mock-up. Create a 3D final result. Put in the patient's mouth. Make a very good simulation, mock-up. Perform a very good phonetic tests, functional tests, and static tests. And after that, let's get started. What technique we are going to do? Lens technique, veneers technique. How is the tooth? Is it dark? Is it not dark? Because if it's dark, we cannot do lens ceramic veneers. Why? Because the lens is so thin, about 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 millimeters, that is so thin that if the tooth substrate is dark, the final result, it's going to be dark as well, because it's very, very thin. So we have to understand what kind of tooth structure and what kind of tooth substrate we are dealing with. And one more time, we have to work with very nice diamond burrs, very thin and not coarse diamond burrs. Generally, when nowadays when I work with veneers, I work with very thin diamond burrs, not coarse. About red series, nothing more than red series, because nowadays we have to make a tooth preparation. We do not have to drill tooth and we do, and not knowing what we are doing with. One of the big mistakes that we have in ceramic veneers and in all the indirect preparations, and do not create a finish line in all kinds of preparations, be a preparation of lens or a full ceramic crown. We have to have a very clear finishing line, a very clear chamfer. A chamfer can be of 0.3 thickness to a 1 millimeter thickness, doesn't matter. But we have to see a very well done finishing line. Why? Different from composite that finishes in 0 degrees. No, the ceramic so far, please pay attention, do not finish in 0 degree. If we do not create a very well finishing line, we are gonna have undercut. We're gonna have undercut. And if we have undercut, we're gonna have problems. We are gonna have problems. So, first of all, create a very nice tooth preparation. And to prepare a tooth, it's different to drill a tooth. We have to be minimal invasive. For sure, we have to be minimal invasive nowadays and always. But we have to be, for me, more important than to be minimal invasive is to be correct and sufficient invasive. Create a very well tooth preparation. Why? To have a very well ceramic adaptation, a very well finishing line, and to have what we call insertion axis. We have to have an insertion axis to cement correct the ceramic in tooth structure. You understand? So create a very nice tooth preparation. And to create a very nice tooth preparation, we have to have what? Magnification. I tell everybody that loops nowadays, they are not anymore a luxury article. They are very important tools for a high quality and high performance dentistry. So if we are talking about direct dentistry with composite or indirect dentistry with ceramic, we have to have magnification. We have to use very nice loops. Look, we are working in the worst environment on the planet. There is the mouth. Everything in the mouth is dirty, it's wet, it's dark, it's very small. Most of the time, we have the tongue. Most of the time, we don't know, we don't see what we are doing. So we have to see, and how we see using magnification. There's two types of dentistry. One without magnification, and the dentistry made with magnification. That is much better. All right? So one more time, since we have all the preparations very well done, we are gonna use retraction cords to make the retractions of the gum, and this is a very important issue. We have to use very correctly our cord, and here FGM one more time. please FGM, return with your cords because they are fantastic. So FGM used to have a very nice retraction cord, and I pray to return with those retraction cords that are fantastic. And one more time, we have to use to put the cord has to be very thin, has to be very good. And one more time, to put the cords in the gum, we have to use very nice spatula, very nice, very thin spatula to not harm the gum. So generally, we put one very thin cord like 0000 or 30, and to get a hemostatic effect. After that, we use another cord a little bit thicker, like 0, like 1. We don't need more than that. And with a very nice silicone material, you're gonna make the impression. And the silicone material has to be addition silicone and not condensation silicone. It has to be a very stable material that is addition silicone with a very nice consistency. It doesn't matter if if the impression is going to be separate. First the heavy material, and after that the light material, or the simultaneous impression. We take the putty materials and the light material together. Doesn't matter. We have to dominate the impression material, and as soon as we have and we get a very nice impression, we send this material to our lab, to our ceramist. So the ceramist has to use a very nice gypsum. It has to have a very nice model, a very stable model, to make our ceramic with nowadays with feldspathic ceramic, or with lithium disilicate. It has to be stable. The ovens, the temperature has to be stable. The technique has to dominate. The technician has to make art, because from the time that we take the impression to the technique, all the responsibility becomes to the technique. So the technique has to understand all the steps very perfectly, because if something changes in the lab, for sure the ceramic is going to change. And if the ceramic changes, we are not going to have a very nice adaptation. We are not going to have the optical properties that we want, and we are not going to have the mechanical properties that we want. So since the ceramic arrives in the lab, the technician has to take care with all the steps. Okay, and one more time. As soon as the ceramic, here I'm gonna show you in look. As soon as we have here the ceramic lens, as soon as the ceramic arrives in our hands, let me try to show you here. As soon as the ceramic arrives in our hands, we have to check those ceramics, the adaptation of these ceramics in the model. And after that, we have in the ceramics. So if we want, we do not have, if we commit any mistakes in the bonding procedure, we are gonna have mistakes, and we are gonna do what we call the dry proof. And what is the dry proof? Before we do any kind of treatment, we have to check ceramic by ceramic in the tooth. Ceramic by ceramic, one per one, to check the cervical, proximal, and palatal adaptation. To check, to put them together, and check the proximal adaptation. We have to check this very, very carefully. It's what we call dry proof. After that, considering that the ceramic veneers are very thin, mainly the ceramic lens, we have to use the color test, what we call the try-in. And FGM, for sure, have a wonderful veneer cement that is all same veneer. And nowadays with APS technology, we have here the try-in veneer, that is the try-in pastes, just to try the colors, and here the final cement. And the color has to be the same. Why? Because, for example, if we choose from the opaque one, the OW, the color of the try-in has to be very, very similar to the final cement. So here in the all same veneer, we have since A3 to A2, A1, translucent, that is very neutral. We have opaque bleach, that is more clear, and we have a white opaque, that is more white. So we have to have a very nice veneer cement, a light cure cement, and work with a very reliable veneer systems. And first of all, we work with the try-in. And I like to work with the try-in. And before, ask to the patient, which color do you deserve, for sure. And in one half, I put like A1, and in the other half, I put like opaque white. And ask, what do you like more? Oh, I like this, I like that. Because with the veneers, mainly the lens, we can change the final color, changing the cement. So because they are very thin. So one important information is that when we talk about lens, the final result of the lens color depends on the ceramic that we use it, the color of the tooth substrate, and the color of the cement. Why? Because if the tooth substrate is dark, probably with ceramic lens, it's going to be dark. If we change the color of the cement, we're going to change the final result because it's very, very thin. So pay attention on that. Second, as soon as everything is perfect, adaptation, tooth cement shade color, we already choose correctly. We are going to have to do the internal treatment of the ceramic. And one more time, we have to know which ceramic we are working with. Generally, nowadays, are feldspathic ceramic or lithium disilicate ceramic, that they are all etchable with fluoridic acid. So if we are working with, one more time, feldspathic ceramics or lithium silicate, they are etchable ceramics with fluoridic acid. Because some ceramic, zirconia, and like aluminum ceramics, they are not etchable. They are not etchable with acid ceramic. Okay? So first of all, we have to work with a very nice ceramic and fluoridic acid. We have here Kondak porcelain of FGM from 5% to 10%. We are going to apply this acid inside the ceramic for 30 seconds to 1 minute. After that, we wash a lot with air and water. We clean everything. We are going to apply phosphoric acid, like Kondak, inside. Just what? Just to remove the residues of the fluoridic acid. So we use the phosphoric acid to clean the ceramic, not to etch. for 30 seconds to 1 minute, correct? After that, we have to use a silane. A silane. Here we have Prozil to allow a chemical union between the ceramic and the bonding system, correct? So after that, we apply the silane. We air dry to evaporate solvent. After that, we apply the bonding system like amber, universal APS. We apply amber inside, and we do not cure the bonding system inside the ceramic. We do not, because we are done. We are going to create undercuts, and we are not going to have a good adaptation. We just apply amber and air dry. Air dry. On tooth structure, what we are going to do? We are going to etch the enamel, phosphoric acid, 30 seconds, and apply amber universal that we can use by all etching technique or self-etching technique. So you have to dominate the technique. And after that, based on the color I choose of the Alcine veneer. So if I choose Alcine veneer OW, I have to use Alcine veneer OW. You understand? No, I want to use Alcine veneer trans. If I choose the tri-in trans, I have to use the trans final cement. Correct? So after that, I apply my Alcine veneer inside my veneer. It's not necessary to apply a very amount of cement. We spread a little bit firmly. We can apply a little bit in the tooth structure. And after that, with a lot of careful, we make a small press, create a very nice adaptation. Do not put a lot of pressure, correct? We remove all the excess with a cavity brush, with tooth floss, with the spatula. So remove all the cement excess. Check all the adaptation, because look, if the cement is just photo curing cement, it's not gonna polymerize. Different from Alcine, for example, there is a dual cement. So we have to be faster. But if we are working with just a veneer, we don't need to be on a hurry. So check everything before light curing. And as soon as we have everything done, let's light cure. With a lot of light, with a very powerful light curing unit, correct? I tell everywhere that I go, all polymers, bonding, composite, and cements, they love light. They love light. So how long do we have to polymerize and to cure? I always leave my light curing unit 1 minute from buccal, from minute and 1 minute from palatal portion. Why? Because polymers love light. Correct? If we put a lot of light, the polymer is gonna say thank you very much. But if we under polymerize our polymer, we are gonna have problems. And after that, we check all the adaptation. We remove the excess with a blade, with any kind of instruments, check everything, check occlusion, and if we do that, uh, uh, we are gonna have a very nice result. You understand? So every time that we talk about bonding technique, because composites and ceramics are bonding techniques. If we're talking about bonding techniques, we have a lot of variables. And if we do not dominate those variables, we're going to have commit mistakes. Mr. Muhannad, it's asking me about Zermatt silicones. Let me write here. Zermatt silicones are wonderful. So Zermatt silicones are very good. We have wonderful silicones nowadays, but we have to dominate the silicones. Okay, so one more time, when we talk about and we face together and we put face to face composite and ceramic, I don't like to put them on fight. I don't like to this kind of fight that some people say. Oh, ceramic are much better than composite. Composite are better than ceramic. No, they are wonderful material with different techniques that sometimes we can use both. There's some clinical case, or there in maybe most of the situation, I tell to my patients, you can have both. We can have both materials. They are different, but they are very good. Very good. And you have to dominate the materials. I love composite. I love ceramic, but we have to understand about the material, the technique, the correct indications, and the pocket of the patient. Because sometimes what it's gonna close the deal, it's not the material but the pocket of your patient. So respect the pocket of your patient. I know that all of you of different countries has a lot of money, but here in Brazil is different. So oh, I just use ceramic. Okay, I just use it composite. Okay, but I love both. Some clinical case or some situations, I tell the patient, in your case, I can perform your case even with composite, even with ceramic. Doctor, what is going to be better? In your case, both. It depends on your pocket. Okay? Mr. Ahmed, it's talking me about we do a fast curing first to remove the excess and after the final curing. Okay, okay. We can use this technique for sure, for sure. Okay, it's easier. We just perform a very fast shot like this, 1-2 seconds. Remove all the excess because the cement it's a little bit, it's a kind of gelatin, and after that finish the final curing. Okay, my friend. So this is what I would like to present you my opinion about those two fantastic materials. There is composites, there is ceramic, and all the fantastic materials we have nowadays in our materials. Renata is asking me, which technique do you most use in your office? Renata, technique about what? About if I use more ceramic, if I use more composite, or any different kind of technique cementation? Renata, definitely, definitely. I use both technique, both technique, because look, we have to understand. In some clinical cases, for example, in a big mouth rehabilitation like this, in a big rehabilitation, I prefer to use ceramic for sure. But if the patient do not have money, I can do this with composite because first of all, the FGM composites are fantastic in mechanical properties. And since I know how to work with the composite, I can do this. In another situations, I tell the patient, oh, for example, in one single incisor, that is the most difficult static situation in dentistry, one single incisor. I always tell to my patient, I rather do with composite than with ceramic. But if the patient tells me, oh, I want ceramic, I tell him, okay. And there are some clinical cases that I tell to the patient, I can do with ceramic, I can do with composite. I guarantee you that with ceramic or with composite, it's gonna be wonderful because the material is wonderful. And now I'm gonna talk with Hama question. First of all, we have to talk about money, the money pocket. Ceramic are more expensive. And Hama, when we talk about longevity and staining of the composite, look, the longevity of the composite nowadays are much better. Why? Because the mechanical properties, the physical and chemical properties of the composites, and the quality of the photo curing units that we have nowadays, they are much better. And since we have a better polymer, we have a more compact polymer. And since we have a better polymer, we have much, much, much less degradation and staining. And one of the big advantages that I like nowadays is because mainly in vitro we have APS technology. And APS technology from FGM allow us to have not only static but a much better polymer, a polymer with a higher degree of curing structure, a more stable polymer, and consequently less staining. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter. In composites, we're gonna have more staining than in ceramic, for sure, unfortunately. But as I told you, I have here composite anterior composites follow-up of 8 years, of 5 years, 8 years, 12 years with a wonderful result. Of course, we have after 5, 6, 7 years, we start some staining. Yes. Do we have to remove the composite? No, if it's okay. Sometimes very nice finishing and polishing techniques, we remove the staining. Okay, so one very good important point is it's not only to do a very nice bonding technique. It's not only to use a premium composite. It's not only to photo cure very well. We have to use a very nice finishing and polishing technique. You understand? So finishing and polishing are as important or so important as the previous technique. All the technique has to be perfect. I always tell my composite patients, come back at least every year. Come back at least every year for a composite repolishing. a 5 minutes composite repolishing technique, we are gonna have a wonderful longevity of our composites. Okay, my friends? So please, if you have any more doubts, do not hesitate here or by my Instagram. One more time, I'm gonna leave here my Instagram. My Instagram is do not hesitate to call me by my Instagram or my social medias or my YouTube. So it's gonna be always um, a great pleasure to be in touch. So I would like one more time to thank all FGM team for this opportunity and to congratulate FGM one more time from this quality, from your preoccupation with the quality of dentistry, and congratulations one more time for being this wonderful, wonderful company that I am very pleased and very honored to be partner. So first of all, one more time, thank you very much, FGM, and thank you one more time, all of you that came together with me in this webinar. I know the hard situation we are facing nowadays, but let's be together at this moment. Let's be closer this moment. Let's pray together that for sure and pretty soon we are going to leave this situation, this very tough situation, and we are going to be much more professionals and much more human beings. So all of you folks, one more time, thank you very, very much for your kindness, for your attentions, for being in connection with me. And I wish you good luck. I wish you health, and I wish you for sure a lot of blessings, a lot of blessings. So thank you very much. Be in peace, be in blessings, and hope to see you soon. Okay. Thank you very, very much for all your kindness. Big kiss.